This video is called How to Be a Good Color Commentator, and that's all we're going to talk about. First things first, have some melanin. You know what I mean? I'm just kidding. Look at Sponge. No melanin. Color Commentator of the Year finalist here to tell you how to become a better color commentator. Okay, so what is a color commentator? What is a play-by-play commentator? The two most traditional roles when it comes to commentary that you hear over your favorite sports, whether it's football or hockey or baseball or handball or cricket or badminton or darts. You can normally hear somebody doing play-by-play, which is the fast talking, reading off the kill feed, just like they do in basketball, and telling you exactly what happens as it happens. And the guy who is doing the color or the play-by-play normally is the guy who is the most like a real commentator, personifies a commentator, usually outside of commentary as well, I think most naturally. I don't think you become a play-by-play commentator unless you've got real elements of it outside of it. Whereas color commentary, historically, there's been a lot of pro players that are color commentators, a lot of people who are very analytical. Normally, analytical people don't have that kind of personality to be, a bright presence on screen to tell jokes and to be like upbeat and charismatic and stuff like that. It's much more of a natural role for a play-by-play. So the color commentary conversely fills in. Well, I like to describe it as that it colors in basically the image, right? You get the play-by-play outlines, what happened. Oh my God, Olfmeister 2K, he just did that. Blah, 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 blah. It's amazing, incredible. And then a color commentator comes in afterwards. Well, actually, it really wasn't that good because things should have peaked and the flash wasn't there, and clearly he was let down. And that's how you get both sides of the image and have a very satisfying kind of conclusion and a nice break in the action as well for the spectator to come in at the end. So how do you become a good color commentator is the second part of the question. And for me, it's I would say it's not simple. It's simple now that I know how to do it, but it took me a long time. I think there is something special for both color commentators and play-by-plays that I'd like to say first, and that is that there is a quality of commentary that's kind of interesting and unique to anything that's high stress, high performance, or in like a live environment. I think that's what's really important is that you're having a good time. When you're doing commentary, you should be doing commentary to your friends at home, sitting on a couch watching it, and not making their night worse, making the good moments better, and being able to, during the dull moments, fill them with a little bit of entertainment. And I think that in order to do that, you can't be jacked up on a Red Bull, having, worked out and then just decided to stretch your vocal cords so that you could yell as loud as possible. And some commentators try to do that, right? But it's really only esports that do that. And even with the better commentators in esports, you'll notice that their personality comes through a lot more than their energy. And some do both. There are examples of high energy with a lot of personality commentators in esports. And in some ways, I would say that esports commentators are able to go farther than traditional sports commentators in some ways. But I think the thing that we still stand to learn from traditional commentary is that it's really not it's not about like winning the conversation. It's not about like winning the energy and winning the game. It's not about taking it over so that it's about you and not the players and the teams and the stories. It's just about adding. It's just about adding and not subtracting and again, filling in where there's nothing. And it's about being extremely prepared for a moment, but at the same time being really relaxed when it happens. And I think you have to have a certain level of focus and preparedness with the storylines that I bring or whatever it is. But when time comes, you got to be able to tell a joke. And if you're too tense, you can't. And you also sound very commentatory. Okay, this is going to be the best advice that you're going to hear in this whole thing. There are certain words. There's certain habits that start appearing for some reason when people start learning how to do commentary. And some of it is to be able so that you can structure sentences in order to anticipate moments that haven't happened yet and be ready for them so that you can drive a sentence one way or the other. But it's talking about, it's talking about moments where it's like, and Stewie's coming up banana and he's about to peek the half wall and they're holding this angle, and then your lexicon starts to mirror that of like every other commentator that's also learning, and that's where the personality doesn't come through. And I think what's really important is that as long as you're cognizant of that, you can peel away from that. Start to derive your own tempo in the conversation, so that your cadence that makes you and makes it you, not someone else, which is again the personality game, that comes through, and then you can speak in your own rhythm that still technically fits into the conversation that you and your co-commentator are having kind of together, but towards the audience and not stepping on each other's toes, while also being unique, I think is the big one. So yeah, it's just about being ready, and then being able to chill. And I think that's probably the thing that most people who are doing commentary, who are trying to figure out why they're not doing better, I'd say that's probably what the difficulty is. And I am just, again, talking about commentary in general here. So just one last thing about color commentators specifically. When it comes to structuring a match, let's take a Counter-Strike match, because that's what I do. Well, I'm going to, when I talk about being prepared and ready for big games and any games, honestly, it's when I prepare by doing YouTube videos. If people ask me what I do before a match, I do almost nothing. I take a glance at everybody's stats, some stuff, reaffirm some storylines I was going to do. But for the most part, I'm ready. I watch every single game of Counter-Strike. I cast most of them myself. I am there talking about Counter-Strike all day. And then, most importantly, I go home, I watch demos. I do my storylines in the demo reviews on my YouTube channel. I fold everything in together. So when I talk about not preparing, it's because I've already done it. I'm mostly just saying things I've already said on my YouTube videos. I think most of you who watch my channel knows that I just use my YouTube storylines that I practice live. And I very much believe in that, folding in as many things into each other as possible. When I read books, I've been reading a lot of science fiction and fantasy, and doing that to expand my vocabulary and just have a better mastery of the English language, just for words I already use, and just lots of different things that come with that build good habits. And all of these things just fold into each other. I want to read books just for the sake of reading books, but also it makes my commentary better. So that's why I also read books. Okay, slightly sidetracked there. So so in terms of pace of the game, with preparedness and all the stuff that you're ready for it, I'd say in the beginning of the game, general rule of thumb, it's commentary, so it's an art, not a science, and that's really important when I talk about technical versus personality. Leffen had this quote. I'm going all over the place. I don't care. Leffen had this quote, really good one. He said, if you're unprofessional, some will leave. But if you're unentertaining, everyone will leave. And I think that's something to remember. When people are scared and they try to be a really good commentator, then they're boring and they're not worth listening to. You bring in a lot of personality. You might make some mistakes. You might step over people every once in a while. But that personality is going to make people fans for life. It's going to keep people around for that game. It's going to be worth watching. I think you're going to get muted more often trying to be professional than you will trying to be entertaining, is what I'm trying to say. So, so in the beginning of the game, that's where there's the most buildup. I don't talk about pistol rounds because it's not real CS anyway. So I know I failed if I end a pistol round and I go, this pistol round was important, or some stupid thing like that. What I'm using these first 3 rounds for in each half is to build the stories around the players I want to talk about for the rest of the game. It sets up Connor, who's doing play-by-play, to also know where I want to take it. And even though I'm kind of backseat driving as a color commentator with the narratives, and he joins in on that. He has his own stories and narratives that he wants to do. And we normally talk about that stuff before the game goes live, just quickly. Anything you want to focus on, then we can just follow up. But for the most part, you just, that's when since he has to do the action as it happens, I come in right at the end of the pistol round, right at the end of the Antico, right at the end of the next force, whatever it is. And then I start driving the narratives for who we want to focus on in that match, or what stories in general. And then as the match starts to roll on, You can do stuff like high level statistics about players, really important things about their map win rates, that kind of thing. And then after that, kind of stage 2 of the half, I'll say this happens in both halves. Now we're talking about what we've learned while watching this game. And I think Counter-Strike can be a hard game to analyze because it's all in the details. So if you're not watching a lot of demos and not talking to players and not constantly updating your info, it's going to be hard to keep up on this front. But I think that's what I think is the most important part, is to be able to, in that back half of each half, to be able to talk about the game based on the patterns that we've seen from teams, based on the usual defaults that they run, the different strats that they use, identifying different players' tendencies and how good they are in this position today, that sort of thing. So that fills up the back half of that half. And then in the last 5 rounds, that's when even I start yelling a lot. If it gets into round 25 to 30 and things get very close, and then it's kind of not so much about the specific detailed analysis, in my opinion. It kind of goes back to storylines and how much this means and who are we really talking about and who's delivering on that or who's failing. And that's what makes that close, I think, the most satisfying possible. And me and Connor both get very, very zoned in. We're both people who I think can struggle when it comes to carrying a game that's kind of boring. But when a game really ramps up, we are, I would say, amazingly good at keeping a super high energy for a very long period of time. So if it goes around 25 to overtime to 2 overtimes, I mean, I am even basically yelling the entire time. I'm sure you've noticed at this point. So those are my favorite. Those are every commentator's favorite parts of a game. But I think that's where we shine the most. So those are all the different ways in which you can become a better both commentator and color commentator. And I will tell you this, I'm one of the worst commentators I've ever met. Okay, it took me about 5 years before I felt like I could walk out into a stage or onto a broadcast and both be good commentator and be myself at the same time. And it was always so disappointing to me to like think I was comfortable, think I wasn't nervous, then go back, listen to the VOD and go, who was that? Why is this guy trying so hard? Like, oh, I wasn't so good. Well, now I finally feel like I've gotten to a place where I'm actually good at my job, which I appreciate about myself. Can I just say thank you so much, launders? So I'm actually comfortable making this video. I think I would say I knew what to do before, but executing on it was more difficult. And I think that's a huge focus of what I've talked about in this video. So if that's interesting to you, let me know. I don't often talk about commentary. Technically speaking, there's a lot going on when it comes to commentary that we don't talk about, but we talk about together as commentators. And so there's a lot more I could talk about. But this is some high level stuff for you. If you want to get into the field or you want to be a better commentator, you're already doing it. And you specifically like color commentary, that's my wheelhouse. So let me know if there's more you'd like to hear from me in the comments. Thanks for watching.